Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome back to a new recovery story. Today, I'll be sitting down with Michael, one of my beloved clients that I've been working with for quite a while. We used to work in the beginning on themes of DPDR and existential anxiety, and it was really interesting to kind of uncover his journey again with him, as it's been a while since he's struggled with that. He's just doing so amazing in life right now that I really, really wanted to interview him. And so I'm very happy to share this interview with you guys. Michael also will be sharing about his experience with chronic fatigue. And so that's why this interview is also really interestingly a video about the relationship between our mind, body, spirit, everything. So I hope you guys enjoy and yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment.
Cool.
All right.
Maybe my hair's a bit messy.
Sorry?
Oh, wait, you side. I was like, my hair's a bit messy.
No, you look perfectly fine. You look good. So maybe I was thinking to start off, it would be helpful for the people watching if you could, briefly try and share, I guess, your experience with DPDR and existential anxiety and kind of how that all unfolded for you from the start, just to give
Yes.
background information.
Yeah. So it all started, probably quite a few people have had a similar trigger for it, but I was about 13, 14, and I decided to try a bit of weed um with my friends just to see what it's like. And yeah, straight away the first time I ever tried it, it triggered it. So it was like the next day I just started feeling very strange. I didn't really know what was going on, but I was just like I felt really odd. I was like, something doesn't seem right. And that was the day after. On the day when I tried it, I just thought that was part of the experience and I didn't think much of it. Um, and then I managed to get through the day after, and then it was the second day where I think it was like my first ever panic. Well, probably not my first ever panic attack, but yeah, pretty much. I've had like panic attack over something else, but nothing like that before. Um, and I was just like at school, and I just remember I really didn't know what was going on, what was happening to me. I just felt like I was behind this. I can't even explain it, but behind some sort of, like I was just looking out through like a screen, and everything just felt really strange. I kept on I'd have this thing where I keep on blanking out, where it would happen really fast, but I'll be sort of doing something or chatting to someone, and then it'd be like I'll just completely forget where, like, what's just happened, where I am, and he'll just be like, I've just woken up from, I don't know, being passed out or something, where you're just like, what's just happened? And that just happened, just kept on happening throughout the day. So yeah, it's very, very scary. Yeah, there's a long list of like symptoms that I had. For example, just with the depersonalization, I I didn't I felt like a complete stranger to myself. If that makes sense. Like I felt like I was in someone else's body. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror because it would just terrify me. I'd just be like, it would be really strange. Um, Family as well. I'd chat to my family, and it would just feel like I knew that that they are my family, but it just didn't feel. They just felt like almost like strangers to me. Same with my friends. Everything, all my memories, all my hobbies, music, just about everything was just a trigger to like, yeah, I just felt completely disconnected from everything. I've just been put in someone else's body. Um, yeah, so that's kind of briefly
That's how it
some
came
of
up.
the,
And
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, you kind of had two experiences with it, and then like first it passed, and then it came back.
Yeah. Yeah, so from yeah, so from when I was 13, that took me about like took me about a year or two to really kind of get back to normal. And because yeah, for quite a while I couldn't really be around like crowds of people, things like that. And then when I was about 16 or 17, I went to a house party because I kind of missed out on a lot of parties during that time because I didn't want to drink or do anything like that. So I missed out quite a lot. So I was really happy to just get out again. And so I did. I went to a house party and I had a good time. And then there was another one the next week, and I thought, okay, let me go to this.
Right.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Um, I thought, let me go to another one. I got a bit drunk, and then the next day it just all came back. And at the time, I felt like it was even worse, but it's always worse when you're going through it. So it felt like it was worse the second time round when it came back, and I just felt that completely detached feeling, and everything looked strange. The sky looked scary. Everything was just completely alien to me. But yeah, it's probably the same. It just felt a lot worse when I'm going through it. So that was the second time round, and yeah, it was just I guess there were parts that were more difficult in the sense of I just felt like all the progress that I made had just had just disappeared basically overnight, and I just couldn't really see like a future, like a good future. Because I really was happy about sort of going out and having a good time at a party for once, and then I almost felt like I've just been punished for it. With the DPDR coming back. So that was really difficult. And my doctor prescribed me some antidepressants. So I started taking them at that time, and they did help me sort of get back to normal. And I did recover from that second episode, if you want to call it, a lot quicker. It still took me probably off the top of my head 8 to 12 months. And even after then, I'd still have these strange moments where I just feel completely just um detached from everything. But it was a lot quick. Yeah, it was a lot quicker to get over it the second time because I'd already got over it once, and I knew a lot more as well um from YouTube as well, just seeing people talking about it and stuff like that. Obviously, the first time when I got the DPDR, I had no idea what was going on. I thought I was going psychotic, or
Mm.
yeah, I had no idea. But yeah.
So you, I guess both first times you kind of recovered by like was the first time you'd say more distraction based, like kind of just avoiding triggers or avoiding
Yes.
stressful situations, and then the second time was coming from medication.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the first time, yeah, definitely distraction. I noticed that distracting myself helped a lot.
Mm.
Later on, I come to realize that that probably wasn't good either. But that was the first time round. Yeah, second time round, the medication definitely helped me. I did have some counseling,
Mm.
but even then, that was when I was, yeah, like 16 or 17, so it was like 9 years ago.
Mm.
And I don't know, my therapist didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
She hadn't heard of it. So I don't know, I feel like now it's a lot more spoke about. But then, yeah, back then it was like I was just trying to explain it and no one understood what I was talking about, which
And
was
also,
quite
I think
frustrating.
when you're 19, sometimes you don't, well, not everyone, but some people just don't have the maturity yet, I guess, to deal with it in a different way. Like sometimes
Mm,
that's just all you kind of can do, like with the age you have and the maturity that you have. And um,
mm.
yeah. So, okay, so then you recovered from that, and then the third time is when you and I started working together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so there were a few times in between where it would literally last like a week. Like I remember I tried drinking again and I had it, it came back for about a week and I just knew I was like, I've been through this before and I managed to get through it quite quick. But then yeah, the third big time was yeah when I reached out to you. Because it was yeah a mix of quite a lot of different things going on and yeah I really needed the support at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So were your symptoms the third time still the same, you'd say, as the first time?
It's yeah it's quite weird because they were but I almost didn't realize because basically this the third time was when I had my existential crisis and that triggered my DPDR.
Mhm.
um so basically quick just to quickly explain. I'd been dealing with chronic fatigue for about, so this was last year, so about 2 years. I'm trying to think what year we're in now, 2024. So it's 2020. Yes. So for about 2 years, I'd been dealing with chronic fatigue from taking a vaccine, a COVID vaccine. And yeah, that completely just turned my life upside down. Um, and yeah, it was just really difficult. Almost every day was just trying to just get through the day. There was no joy, no excitement to anything really. And I went through a little like breakup as well. There were a few things that factored into it. But over time, just the lack of, I don't know, motivation and fulfillment and everything like that, I started to just question. I don't know this. I don't know when it pops into my head, but I just kind of just thought like, what am I really actually doing? What is the point of anything that I'm doing? Um, and then it just got worse and worse and worse, and that question just got led on to other things, like what is the meaning of everything? What's the meaning behind thoughts and feelings? Um, do feelings even matter? Do they even mean anything at the end of the day? Just really deep, weird questions that I hadn't really, I think they probably crossed my mind before. Definitely the other times when I had the DPDR, you have a lot of existential questions come up. But the third time round, yeah, it was just really, I don't know, I just felt this really heavy feeling of like despair, just really hopeless, just the motivation. I've never experienced motivation so bad. Like I really struggled to even get out of my bed, and also with the chronic fatigue, it was already difficult. But I was functional. I was working part time for about a year and a half. It was the first 6 months were really difficult, and then the next year and a half, I was functional. But all I could do is work part time and then go home, and then I'll be just completely exhausted. Um, so yeah, it was really difficult to do anything, just to even. I remember even just making a cup of tea, something I looked forward to, just having a cup of tea after work. I was almost like having a crisis over that. I was just like, what's the point of this cup of tea? Like, I'm just going to drink it. And why am I actually getting excited about it? Like, what is there to be excited about having this cup of tea? It sounds ridiculous now when I think about it, but because like I was just so, well, yeah, really depressed at the time. I just couldn't see a point to anything I was doing. So that's when I actually, yeah, that's when I found your channel. And then when you mentioned about DPDR and everything, I was like, oh, there's like a link. And I actually realized because I felt so low and everything felt so grey and dark. And when you started talking about DPDR, it's so weird because I was like, yeah, I feel completely detached as well from everything. But almost like I didn't realize it wasn't like the other times where it was just like I'd wake up and I'd be really deep in that feeling of detachment. It was a lot more gradual. So I didn't really notice it as much. But yeah, the DPDR was definitely came back. Um, I think the existential crisis triggered the DPDR, not the other way around, basically.
Mhm.
The third time. Yeah.
Because I remember as well, like that was the, because like for reference, Michael and I have been working together quite a while now, and like I feel like all that stuff is so far gone already. Like we have,
Mhm.
because you've been doing so well with that like for so long, that I almost like it takes me a little bit like rethinking of like, okay, yeah, what was that about for you again? And I do remember that like 90%, I guess, of what we talked about or what we worked on was the existential stuff and not the actual DPDR. And, for me, it was the same. It's not the same for everyone, but for me, it was the same, that it kind of, the fear of being alive made me dissociate, made me go into disconnection. And that was, I guess, the same for you. So, um, when you started working on the existential fears and overcoming that, did the DPDR for you start going away then as well, and you start feeling
Yeah.
again?
Yeah. Yeah, it all started to just fade fade away the more we worked at it, and the tools that you gave me. Meditating has been a huge part of my recovery from the DPDR, the existential crisis, and my chronic fatigue as well. Because I can maybe talk about that later. But yeah, I'm 95% recovered now, playing football again. But yeah, meditation, just being aware of what's going on in my mind, what I'm thinking, how I'm responding. It's funny because I used to think in the past that I was like really mentally strong and I could handle anything because I'd been through DPDR twice, I'm recovered, and nothing nothing would be worse than that, and I feel like I can handle anything. But absolutely not. Like at work, I'll just get really stressed even before I got the chronic fatigue and everything like that. I'll get really stressed over things worth getting stressed about, but my response would have been, yeah, really, really not good. But yeah, I've just gone blank. My mind's gone blank because the builders are still here. It's right outside
Yeah, the news.
now. Yeah,
Challenge.
usually they're gone by 5, but they're still here at 6:30.
Okay, that's okay.
So maybe cut that bit out.
I
Um, I've just lost track
was
completely
going
of
to
what
ask
I was.
you a question actually, because yeah, like what you said is very true, and I think that's why I really wanted to interview you specifically as well, because you're I think a very good example of someone that can prove that your mind and fixing your mind, well, fixing, not fixing, but working on treating the core of what's happening within you emotionally and mentally can have so many effects, not just on your emotional well-being with the DPDR and the existential stuff, but also on the chronic fatigue, and how you manage to actually like work on that by working inwards. And I think that's just very inspirational as well. So can you, I don't want to like, I want to make sure that we're kind of not going all over the place, but could you first start, I guess, by telling the people watching what allowed you to crawl out of that existential crisis, and what you would say was the mindset shift that you made, and kind of talking about, I guess, if someone were to ask you, like, how do you how did you deal with the existential stuff? How did you recover from that? What were the things that really helped you with that? What would you
Mhm.
advise to people from your experience?
Yeah. So obviously, definitely getting in touch with you, that was the first huge step. Like I just almost like it was like a big relief just talking to you about all these existential questions I had, and the fact that you were just so calm, and I was talking to you about these things that were absolutely terrifying me, and you were just like fine with them, and you've dealt with them. And I found that, yeah, I was just like, how on earth how on earth can you be so calm, like not knowing the answers to all these questions?
Yeah.
That was like a real kind of like almost eye opener to, I thought I'm the only one, well, not I'm the only one, but I'm like, I must be the only one who thinks like this. Like, has anyone even thought this? Like, I'm looking at all the commuters going to and from work. Have they not realized that it's all pointless and all going to die one day and everything's going to be forgotten about? And have they not thought these things? Have they not realized that nothing means anything? Like, I was really, what's the word? Nihilistic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And also, there's this feeling that I remember having of like, oh, I looked behind the curtain, there's no going back. So, like,
yes.
how can someone that has looked behind the curtain actually be okay with what they saw, you know, like that kind of feeling?
Yeah, I thought that I'd thought myself into just, yeah, I thought too deeply into life and now I'm screwed basically. um yeah, so it was really refreshing to see you like calm and just chat about it, and also my guitar teacher as well. Throughout the whole experience I've just had so much support, like amazing people around me, my family, my friends, my work colleagues, and my guitar teacher as well. I spoke to him a lot about it, and yeah, he's had all these thoughts as well. He's had his crisis in the past. So I was like, oh wow, like what you thought about, like what's the point of all this? And a lot of it, I guess, is it depends on your mental state, because now when I ask those questions, I know I've been through the crisis and I've dealt with it and I'm doing a lot better now. But I think at the time as well, I was just really stressed and burnt out and just really miserable. So those questions really were like so bad because I was miserable. So like I if I'm happy and whatever, those questions don't even come up, or you don't even care about the answers. If you're happy and you're having a good time, you're not gonna stop and go, oh, what's the meaning of it all? But I think it's because yeah,
You were
I was
looking
just
at
so,
life through a more dark colored pair of sunglasses rather than a rosy one.
yeah,
So everything you see looks so much darker and so much.
so much darker.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I spoke to my guitar teacher about it, and he said his approach, like there's different, so my way I look at it now is, to be fair, I don't know what the answer is to a lot of things. I don't know what the meaning of life is. I don't know what all these, like, I don't know when time started and like how far space goes on for, and all these questions I don't know, and I don't care anymore. I don't need to know. And I guess a lot of it you've helped me and through meditation is basically becoming aware of the ego and just needing to know everything, needing to be right, needing to be, yeah, all these this control basically. And it's like, yeah, I'm just now, even though it's like I haven't found out what the meaning of life is to be happy and recovered. Um, I can like there's a lot of like possible meanings, and but I don't need to know, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Um, I don't get that sick feeling of just dread and complete despair every time I think about, yeah, what's the point? Yeah, that question would just repeat in my head all day.
Mhm.
Anything I was doing, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point of showering? What's the point of eating? I'm eating the same food again. I'm doing this again. I'm doing that again. So yeah, all of that it's I don't I don't need to know an answer. Just being more present, and just, yeah, what's the point of asking what's the point really, um, and being miserable when you can be happy and actually have a fulfilling life and enjoy life, because really we all can do that.
Mhm.
We can pick basically how we respond and how can I explain it in a clear way. Basically, we can be in the driver's seat. Um, it's not our mind in control, and we're just doing whatever our mind is thinking or telling us. Um, yeah, we can be in control, and that's where meditation really helped me just get in the driver's seat and to be
Yeah.
able to just control how I think and yeah, be more present. And
I like what you said about what's the point of asking what's the point. I've never formulated it like that. That's why I like doing these interviews, is because everyone always shares their
Mhm,
story from a different perspective, and it's true, like either you live in a world where you don't have control over anything and you don't have any answers and you choose to fight it, or you live in a world where you don't know anything, you don't know the answers, and you choose to be okay with it and you choose to just surrender to it and say it is what it is. I'm gonna commit to it anyways. And I think that's the journey of prioritizing the second above the first is a journey of overcoming the ego, because the ego makes you think that the more I resist something, the more I worry about something, the more I fight something, the more the world is actually going to change. And we kind of
mm,
fool ourselves with that. But then you realize, like, there's literally no point in fighting because it's not changing anything. Anything.
mm,
It's only
no,
making me miserable. And that's why
mhm,
I love meditation too. Like, it's a great
yeah,
of what you said is very true. Like, meditation is the thing that makes you realize that and kind of makes it easier to choose to go for the second option.
mhm, yeah, definitely. Basically, just yeah, living from a place of just acceptance of pretty much everything. Obviously, I'm still working at it. Yeah, it's kind of like you always kind of just got to make sure that you're practicing your mindfulness. Well, I guess once you have that awareness, it doesn't just disappear, but I guess sometimes we can get complacent and then it can you start becoming less aware again, and then the ego kind of starts getting bigger again. But yeah, I just that just resisting things is just yeah so unhealthy. It's my syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome. Literally, a big chunk of it comes from just resisting everything. Like, although the symptoms are very bad and it's really difficult, but the resistance to life, um, um, my perception of things, all sorts of yeah things that make it worse. But even if I talk about the past couple of times that I got better from DPDR, the way I got better was from basically kind of distraction was the main thing which got me through it the first two times, but it wasn't. Now I feel like, from what I know, I feel like it's not going to come back because I have that awareness. I don't resist anything. If ever I felt just anything in the past, I've had all sorts of like issues with my mind and my mental health and stuff like that. And every single time I'll just really resist it and I'd hate it. I need to like do whatever to get rid of this. I'd never just stop and just think it's okay. Just, actually really stop and think what's the worst that could happen for a lot of things, because a lot of the time nothing. And yeah, and even just yeah, what is resisting going to do to help the situation? It's not going to help anything. It's only going to just drain you more.
Yeah.
Just strengthen that part of your brain that's just on that high alert more the more you resist, and it's just like a snowball effect basically.
So one thing that really also struck me in your story is, I mean, it's not the same, but there's so many similarities between how you manage to recover from your anxiety and from your DPDR, and also how you're now really successfully recovering from your chronic fatigue. Can you share a little bit about that? Just briefly, kind of. Well, first of all, do you feel like the approaches to recovering are similar in a way? And
Mm.
also, kind of, what's been your go-to way of dealing with the chronic fatigue and really feeling more in control of that and recovering from that?
Yeah. So pretty much, probably I'll say the biggest thing that has helped me is just acceptance of everything, that not resisting, um, and just really, really accepting, not just kind of trying to tell yourself that you accept it, like really deeply actually accepting what's going on. And that's, I got to that stage through just meditating over and over again every day. I could start actually really deeply accepting everything just as it is. And the other thing is just how I respond to anything in life, like stresses, just being again aware of how I'm responding, how I'm reacting to certain things. I've got so many examples of just like how I just wouldn't respond well to something. I don't know, say with my job, um, I'd be really busy and I'll just be sort of rushing and getting myself really worked up and stressed, or customer will, I don't know, be a bit arrogant or a bit rude or a bit, I don't know, a bit annoying. And it would just really get to me, and I take a lot of things really personally. Like it would be like I feel like almost like attacked, like from loads of little things. And again, that's my ego kind of like just being on high alert basically, just being aware of that feeling and then just course correcting it every single time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of with everything, like with the DPDR, with the existential crisis, with the chronic fatigue, it's just when I'm feeling really bad or those really difficult times, really difficult moments, kind of just you taught me basically is just like telling yourself, I'm doing this. I'm doing
This response or this behavior.
yeah, or like yeah, I'm I'm doing miserable about meaning of life or something,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
kind
Active.
of just becoming aware of that response and that action and then just changing it basically.
Yeah. One of the questions that I always find really helpful is when you do find the mindful awareness to create that pause, to ask what is the most helpful way of now responding to this, instead of like what's the automatic way that you've been programmed to respond. It's like what is the helpful way for my highest good to
Mhm.
respond, and really feeling
Yeah,
you have the choice in that, like you can choose your response rather than just
yeah, you can literally choose how you respond to things. It's crazy when you, again, like I still got work to do. I will always have things that I can improve on, but now when I look at other people who um just at their response to certain things. Like now I'm almost like aware of their responses as well as mine. I'm like, wow, they're responding really badly to that. Not that, like I was the exact same. I had to go through all of the crisis and stuff to actually, that forced me basically to learn how to respond to life and to stress and to stop resisting and to really let go and just accept things as what they are. I feel like if it wasn't for the chronic fatigue, actually, the crisis, me having the existential crisis, really what really with the chronic fatigue put me to the edge basically, and that's when I reached out, and that's when I really started to put myself first and my recovery first. I got signed off of work, and that was the best decision I made because throughout um, being sick with the chronic fatigue for the 2 years before that, I I still worked part time, even days where it was really, really tough. Like I was literally in a lot of pain all over and stuff like that. And I was still going into work and hating it and resisting it all. And but yeah, it got to the point of having the crisis where it actually kind of really forced me to make this change. And yeah, we've been, you know, having our calls for like over a year now, and I've been on a different program for the chronic fatigue, and I've just really like just hammered it all in. Like, I don't think I could forget any of the tools that I've
Yeah.
I've learned. Not that everyone has to spend a year doing it, but I'm just like, I think the most important thing is just being able to, or is just awareness, being able to being in the driver's seat of your mind, because you can create a lot more meaningful um memories, a lot more. It actually gives your life more meaning because you're in control of everything,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, exactly, exactly. The big question that, because I want to be mindful of your time, and I know you still have some things to do. Um, I guess how do you feel now then? How would you tell people watching now? Because like we've gone through kind of the whole trajectory, and like so much has happened, so like it's difficult to put everything into words, but now I feel like you are at a place where you're doing really well. Like if someone were to ask you today, how are you doing? What would you say?
Yeah, I'd say I'm doing amazing. Which is, yeah, it's really weird feeling that I'm on one of these calls now, because I was watching you interview other people and I just thought there's no way I can. Maybe if I like, I'll just get a little bit better, but I'll never be happy or whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm doing really good. Like my mind just feels so clear now. It's just every decision I make really feels intentional. There's so many things that so many problems that so many bad ways of responding to things that I wasn't aware of, that I've fixed now, basically. So I just feel a lot more like my brain isn't so cluttered all the time, a lot more calm. I feel like I can respond a lot better. It almost feels like it's like an analogy, like before my brain was just tied up in this knot, like this rope, just in a great big knot, and it just feels like it's just come undone now. It's not stuff that's always playing on my mind in the background. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, and what's it? I just feel like I can finally be present, um, in the moment, like really present, make proper decisions. And yeah, it's funny because it is, yeah, giving me a more meaningful life. Because now I feel like I'm in control, not my mind or my ego. It's not deciding whether I should be happy or miserable
Yeah,
or whatever. Yeah, so
that's
yeah, I'm doing really good.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. To wrap up, I guess, was there something that you feel like you haven't said, or like one last piece of advice?
Yeah. Main thing is it gets better, and that it may feel like you're all alone and that you're the only one who's going through this or experiencing whatever problems are coming up. So, for example, myself, I thought chronic fatigue and DPDR and an existential crisis. How am I gonna get better from all three? I thought like I'm like, oh, even worse than everyone else, something like that. But no, the problems, it gets better. You just need to really, yeah, trust the process in everything and really start putting yourself first. Something that really helped me as well is kind of letting go of that victim part of myself. That part where, yeah, it was valid, to feel sorry for myself and what I was going through, and life really did suck at the time. But to really start letting go of that part of me that just, yeah, was always just, yeah, feeling sorry for myself, having to try and explain to myself to everyone, and
Yeah.
trying to get people to understand my situation, and really just, yeah, basically just not have to feel like I need to explain anything, and just
Hmm.
start being start caring about myself instead of feeling sorry for myself, basically. I
I
feel like
love.
that really helped me, because that victim kind of state, it just perpetuates, it just keeps it going, and it makes it really hard to actually
Yeah.
get better, because you're constantly going, oh, why me, poor me, kind of thing. It does suck, but if you can like really get hold of that, and again just respond in a better way. I feel like that really sped up my recovery as well.
Yeah, all the energy that you waste on asking why me is energy you could spend on taking ownership of the situation, taking responsibility, and just saying, okay, what's next? Like, what's the next step, you know? So definitely 100% agree. And thank you for adding that.
Just, yeah, don't give up and keep going. And it will actually all be worth it. I'm actually grateful for all of like the really difficult times, the chronic fatigue, the crisis, all of that. I'm really grateful for it now. Actually, I can be like, you know what, that's actually really helped me to change all these bad habits and all these bad ways of thinking and resisting and things like that. Otherwise, I would have never probably changed, and then my life wouldn't be as meaningful and as fulfilling because I'll just be basically just doing whatever my mind is telling me I should do and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But now I feel like, yeah, I'm in control of. In control is maybe not the right word because
I know
control, but like
you're in
I
charge.
yeah, I'm in charge. I'm aware. I'm like conscious of what's going on,
Yeah.
like what's going on in my mind.
Yeah.
I
I know.
don't know how to word it
Yeah,
properly,
it's
but
difficult because control
like,
can be such a controversial word with all of this, but yeah.
yeah,
Well, thank you
but
so much, Michael. If any of the people watching have like other questions for you, is it okay if they drop a comment and I can
yeah, sure.
you know, and maybe you could answer some questions if.
Yep, I'll be happy. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you everyone for watching. Leave your comments for Michael and we'll see you guys in the next video.